in 2020, drug trafficking through Iraq has been increasingly steady since 2003. The United Nations Office on Drug and Crime supports the government of Iraq to enhance its efforts to counter cross-border drug trafficking. The UNODC the UNODC through the US State Department's Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs funded projects strengthening the capacities of the Iraq law enforcement and criminal investigation services, has been delivering technical assistance to support Iraqi law enforcement agencies in addressing organized crime and terrorism challenges with a special focus on combating drug trafficking. Iraq believes that with further international cooperation, narco-terrorism can end not just in Iraq but globally.
Delegate of Italy, you have been recognized. Yes, you may. Yes, Delegate of Ukraine, you have been recognized. Yes, you may. Respected delegates, we can at 11. We have a break in 10 minutes. We have a break at 11:30. We'll be dispersing and the meeting will be adjourned. So we will maintain the flow and will not break the rhythm. Please have patience till 11:30. Please go on, Delegate from there.
Delegate of India, you have 76 seconds.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, esteemed delegates, it is an honor for me to speak as a delegate of India on the pressing issues of narco-terrorism and terrorist funding. The nexus between drug trafficking and terrorism is one of the most sinister threats to global stability. Terrorist organizations are increasingly turning to narcotics trade as a source of funding, creating a vicious cycle of violence, extremism, and instability. India as a nation has borne the brunt of this deadly combination. Our country has been a prime target of narco-terrorism, with terrorist groups operating within and outside our borders using drug money to finance their violent agendas. The consequences of this insidious link are visible through the violent acts perpetrated by the groups such as Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba, and the Taliban, whose operations have been largely financed by the proceeds from illegal drug trade. As we address this issue, India firmly asserts that a multifaceted international approach is crucial. No single nation can combat the menace alone. The time has come for the international community to unite in the fight against narco-terrorism and terrorist financing. India stands firmly committed to working with the international community to combat this menace. Narco-terrorism knows no borders. It is time for us to put our defenses aside and confront this menace. Urgency and resolve demands.
Delegate of Ghana, you have 70 seconds.
Honorable Chair, I would like to pass this moderated caucus. You may.
Delegate of Greece, you have 70 seconds.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, Greece believes that narco-terrorism and illicit funding of terrorist organizations represent the most significant threats to the global peace and security. Greece, as a gateway between Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, understand the gravity of these interconnected challenges. The trafficking of drugs and the use of illicit financial networks to fund terrorism not only destabilize regions but also fuel violence, corruption, and organized crimes. Greece firmly believes that addressing these challenges requires a comprehensive multilateral approach. We propose strengthening international cooperation of intelligence and sharing, as this includes more robust collaboration between the law enforcement, intelligence agencies, and financial monitoring bodies like FATF, and tackling money laundering and terrorist finance. Also, combating drug trafficking and its nexus with terrorism. Thank you.
Delegate of Germany, you have 70 seconds.
Thank you. As long as there is war and terror, there won't be a war on drugs. This was the confidence of Pablo Escobar. Yes, the drug leader from Colombia. A very warm welcome to all of you. The delegation of Germany wants to convey its gratitude to the chair and all my fellow delegate members. Fighters, the MOCN in collision with Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Portugal, UK, and Germany combined have been seizing drugs for years together. Germany is a prime player to it now. In 2023 alone, we have seized more than 5.5 billion sterling pounds worth of drugs. Expansion of Germany's international involvement in G7, G20, UN, and of course the FATF. Germany stands the founding member of FATF 1989. Going further, Germany is widely involved in international AML and CTF wide operations in G20, G7, and G7. I will rest my case here. Thank you.
Delegate of France, 70 seconds.
Thank you, ma'am. Bonjour, Madam Chair and all the delegates. As already my friend delegate from Germany has talked about narco-terrorism. Indeed, narco-terrorism funds terrorism and plays a pivotal role in that. But here I would like to talk about another kind of funding which is the latest and I would say the most popular among terrorists. I'm talking about cryptocurrencies, yeah. Some guy from Japan created this coin called Bitcoin and now it is considered to be the most profitable asset, right? What started as a brilliant idea to decentralize finance has now become a financial loophole for terrorists. Remember delegates, anonymous, decentralized, and it is nearly impossible to trace. Think about it for a second. Some terrorist 20 years ago used to steal a bag full of cash, but now he's just trading in Dogecoin or Shiba Inu just a blink of a second. So that's why France urges all countries to come together to ban cryptocurrencies or at least to create regulation. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, respected delegates, the delegation of Finland highlights the urgent need to address narco-terrorism, a destructive nexus between drug trafficking and terrorism. The proceeds from illicit drug trade fuel violence, instability, and terror worldwide. Finland proposes strengthening international frameworks to track and disrupt illicit financial flows. We recommend enhancing the mandate of the Financial Action Task Force FATF and fostering greater cooperation between law enforcement agencies across borders. Community-based programs to reduce drug demand must also be prioritized to break the cycle of narco-terrorism. Together, we can weaken the financial lifelines of terrorist groups and promote global stability. Finland is committed to supporting these efforts. Thank you. Delegate of Ecuador, you have 70 plus 15 seconds.
Honorable Chair and esteemed delegates, Ecuador, a nation grappling with dual challenges of narco-terrorism and the funding of terrorism that has contributed to a broader regional crisis that threatens the well-being of our citizens and the integrity of our institutions. Ecuador is situated in a strategic location along with major drug routes, making it vulnerable to the encroachment of powerful criminal organizations. These groups exploit social vulnerabilities and institutional weaknesses, leading to a surge in violence, corruption, and instability. The consequences are dire. Communities are torn apart, lives are lost, and the rule of law is severely undermined. Ecuador, effectively counter narcotic strategies must be complemented by robust law enforcement and judicial reforms. Ecuador calls for international support, enhancing for our capabilities in intelligence gathering, investigation, and prospect drug relations. Narco-terrorism is not confined by borders. It is a transnational threat that requires a coordination response. Ecuador urges neighboring countries to collaborate more closely in sharing intelligence, conducting joint operations, and developing comprehensive strategies that address both supply and demand side of drug trafficking. We recognize that the efforts made by various international organizations in combating narco-terrorism. However, more tailored strategies are needed to address the unique challenges faced by the countries like Ecuador. Thank you.
Just a second.
Delegate of Denmark, you have 70 seconds.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, narco-terrorism and terrorist financing are key threats to the global security. Denmark acknowledges the link between the drug trafficking and terrorism and supports global efforts to combat it. We are a strong supporter of the UN Office on Drugs and Crime. Denmark has provided funding programs in West Africa to dismantle drug routes linked to the terror groups. Bilaterally cooperates with the nations like Colombia to combat narco-terrorism and advocating for the Financial Action Task Force guidelines to prevent terrorist funding. Denmark urges member states to tackle narco-terrorism by addressing its root cause such as the drug production and trafficking through sustainable alternative for affected communities. Together, we can cut off the lifelines of terror. Thank you.
Okay, Delegate of Croatia, you have 70 plus 15, 85 seconds.
Thank you. As the representative of Republic of Croatia, I am honored to contribute to this pivotal discussion on narco-terrorism. Narco-terrorism is a hydra-headed menace that imperils global stability, corrodes institutions, and ravages communities. To counter this threat, Croatia has implemented a multi-pronged strategy that encompasses fortifying international cooperations. Croatia has strengthened its collaboration with regional and international partners, including the United Nations and the Southeast European Cooperative Initiative, enhancing border resilience. Croatia has invested in cutting-edge surveillance technologies, intelligent monitoring systems, and robust interdictions capabilities to secure its border. Croatia has implemented target sanctions, asset seizures, and financial forensic analysis to choke off the financial oxygen that sustains narco-terrorist networks. For example, in 2020, Croatia authorities seized over 1.5 tons of cocaine, worth approximately 100 million euros, in a joint operation with international partners. This successful operation dealt in a significant blow to narco-terrorist networks operating in the region. Thank you.
Delegate of China, you have 70 seconds.
Honorable Chair and esteemed delegates, the link between narcotics trafficking and terrorism funding is a significant security concern. China calls for international collaboration to dismantle these networks and cut off sources for funding terrorist activities. We advocate for stringent controls and monitoring mechanisms to prevent the abuse of global trade routes for illicit purposes. China has supported international efforts to combat narco-terrorism and drug trafficking. China has hosted the Belt and Road Forum on Drug Control and Prevention, bringing together members of states and international organizations to discuss strategies for reducing drug-related crime and funding terrorism. China has also supported initiatives aimed at enhancing border security and law enforcement cooperations to combat narcotics trafficking. Thank you.
Yes, we will now adjourn the meeting and we continue the mod caucus after we reconvene it. All the delegates are supposed to be back at sharp 11:45. We will reconvene by 11:45. Thank you, delegates. Continue with Bulgaria.